It's Linda MacPhee's workshop. Here's Linda.
Hi, and welcome to the first show of a brand new season. My, how time flies. I love doing what I do, and I love bringing you all this exciting stuff. This show is all about having fun with your imagination, having fun with your sewing machine, having fun with textiles. We're doing some knitting, we're doing some quilting, we're doing some dye. There'll be lots of stuff in this next season, so stay tuned for sure. But to begin with today, we're going to talk about quilting, and then later on, we've got an excellent beadwork segment for you. I mean, you'll love the beadwork. Quilting is something that I don't know a whole lot about, but I have a friend here that does, Cathy Badry from Husqvarna, so it's great to have you.
Thanks, Linda. It's wonderful to be back.
So I think the neat part about this is that you say you can now design your own, and this must be where the quilting world is going. Like, there are certain quilt patterns that people use, and those are... So I say copyrighted patterns, or?
That's exactly it. Anytime that you purchase a pattern from a store that has someone's name on, other than your own on it, you are working with a copyrighted product. So that product and the use of it is governed by the copyright laws that are applicable to our country.
Okay.
And also the restrictions that the publisher or producer has put onto it. So they may have said that it's for personal use only,
right,
which means you are entitled to make the project
for yourself
and your own use, and you may give it as a gift, but you can probably only give it once.
Okay.
You can't make 20 of them and hand them out to the family reunion.
So you probably don't want to even do that.
That's true. Yeah, Making the same project that many times could be a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
So it's not unusual for a consumer to say, you know what, I want to be creative, and technology has really become a part of the quilting industry as well as the sewing industry, as we've seen.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, one thing a lot of people do is they purchase a pattern, such as the Irish Spring or the Cabin in the Woods that are here, and they make it up in their own fabrics, and it's kind of a guessing game to make sure that, oh, is that fabric going to look right? Is it going to be the way I want it to be?
Yeah.
Then there's people who want, as you said, want to be more creative. So they want to go forward and they want to create some of the different things that we see here on the table from their own imagination. And they want to say, you know what, I need a new table runner for Christmas. I want to work with some fabrics, but I want to make something that's unique and different. Okay.
We don't have to worry that everything that could possibly be made is out there?
No, not everything that's possible. No,
Good.
We are so creative, and one of the things that technology allows us to do is to actually take copyright-free or patterns that you are allowed to use and make your own original designs, and then you can produce your own patterns from it or just make multiples of the same project over and over again.
Okay, I think that's where we want to get going then, is that how do we create our own? And you say there is...
There's a way to do it, because actually the patterns that I was showing you on the table today are ones that I created using EQ5.
Okay.
Which is a software for quilters from a company called Electric Quilt.
Okay.
And it has been around for a lot of years in different versions. And it allows you to create your own designs from patterns that you either draw yourself, or patterns or blocks.
The way I would think I would create that is that I'd get out my compass and I'd start playing. I mean, that's one way you do it, isn't it?
And that's the way we used to do it.
Yeah,
we used to sit with graph paper and we'd draw lines and intersect and say,
and
okay, that's how we're going to build our block. And now we can actually do this on the software.
Okay, you show me.
All right.
That sounds good.
So one of the interesting things to do is we're actually going to start with the EQ5 and just open the software program. And you get to actually create your project. So we're going to call this one Linda.
All right.
And we get to design a quilt. So from our quilt, we have different types. So I'm just going to start with a very basic on-point quilt. I'm going to choose a layout that's going to be about 3 blocks square. And we're going to put some sashing in it. And now we're going to go back to our library, and we're actually going to choose some blocks. And we're going to go into the EQ library, and these are the ones that I was talking about that are actually royalty-free, so you can go in there and choose these blocks.
Okay.
And all I have to do is copy them to my work table. So I've copied a bunch of blocks into my work table, and I can take these blocks.
You know, I'm thinking maybe a person never actually has to quilt. They can just play on this. And
you can Can you imagine what we can create on paper and color?
Exactly. You can spend your whole day just coloring and figuring all this out. You may never have to...
So you can just take all your different blocks that you've chosen.
All the corners match. Everything works.
Everything's perfect. I can even change all the colors. So if I wanted everything to have a red background, I can pick up my red color and I can fill in all my squares. So now my colors all match perfectly.
How does that know it needs to be red?
I actually used the eyedropper. I picked up the color off the back of this red square, so it changed my fabric color to red so I
Okay.
can drop it wherever I need it to
All
be.
right. I like the idea of this. So you can see the whole thing in color, see what's happening.
And you can
This-
actually go in and choose fabrics. So if you want to work with
Could I put my fabric in there?
Yes, you can. So with the vest that's on the far side of the table, I wasn't too sure how I wanted the center block to work out. So I went ahead and scanned the actual fabrics, imported them into my block, which I had drawn in electric quilt, and auditioned them in different places to make sure that it was the block that I wanted to see.
Okay, this is getting...
Isn't that cool?
This is amazing.
So I can actually show you, if you'd like, a pattern that already exists, and just show you how that can have different effects on it.
Okay. So once I figured all this out and got all my colors and everything, how do I, where does that, you'll show me how that manifests itself in real life then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we've actually created here is a very simple table runner. And I can go back to my library, and I've actually created a lot of different versions of that table runner. You can see in here that the blocks are changing.
Yes.
I've added different sashing.
So do I like this or do I like that?
Which one do I like?
Yeah, and how wide would that border be and what color would it be? Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have this one, and a very subtle change is the next one. We'll edit that. And that's how I actually created the table runner that's in the center there.
Okay.
And from this point, I can actually take these blocks and I can actually print them. And I can choose to actually print out the block itself.
And as long as you do it in blocks, your paper will accommodate.
Yeah. So as this point, I can print out the whole block, so I can actually look at it and say, is this going to look good?
Mm-hmm.
I can print it without fabric, so just as a outline drawing,
Okay.
and I can glue my fabric in place
Okay.
and see if the fabric I have at home looks good or not.
It doesn't put seam allowances on this. You put the seam allowances.
Yes. You can actually, and you can add different seam allowances. So when we work with flannel, we like to work with 3/8 of a seam
Okay,
allowance
okay.
rather than the traditional quarter.
All right.
Prints out my fabric yardage as well.
Okay, so what is all this other stuff? I mean, so is that's
one way of actually
Yeah.
printing out a block to be able to work with it. Now,
Yeah,
my passion is paper piecing.
okay.
So a lot of the projects that you see here on the table are ones that I've paper pieced. So I can actually print out my own foundation patterns. So any block that we used to traditionally piece,
Okay.
we can now do as a foundation. So when I have my foundation sections, show you the numbering of this particular block, there's always different things that we can use. So a lot of times people will print only onto the printer paper, the
Okay,
regular
okay,
standard
okay,
paper
okay.
they would have, which is a little heavy.
Yeah.
You can use newsprint, which is the papers for foundation piecing, is a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
We can use wash-away paper.
Right.
So when we're done,
it
you can print it through your inkjet
yeah,
printer.
okay.
It literally just disappears
Okay. Yeah.
and it's gone.
Yeah.
Or you can use the
Like the
custom-coated
freezer-
freezer paper,
Type
which
of-
is really nice because it actually adheres to your fabric
Compress
until
it
you're
down.
done,
Yeah.
and then it just tears away
Yeah.
when you're finished.
And when you're saying paper piecing, this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about.
Yes.
I mean, that's paper piecing.
Yeah.
And there's a sequence of which
And
one
actually
you put on.
there is. I have hidden away under here.
Oh, okay.
So for this particular project, this is the iris and spring. So you can see that this piece here is this block.
Okay.
This piece here is the top block.
Okay.
This is the top to this piece, and that's the pot that goes on the bottom.
So this is what would have been printed out after you
So this
played.
is what I actually printed out with my inkjet printer.
Okay, yeah.
I cut out the pattern. I followed the sequencing, so 1, 2, 3. As long as I can count,
Okay.
I'm okay.
And
So
you
this
only
is
have to
like
count to
paint
7,
by number.
So you're okay.
So yeah, if I don't have to count too high, I
Yeah.
can get all the way up by sewing on the lines. I've created that piece.
Okay.
And this is just showing it in the process of
Yeah.
being done.
Yeah,
So as long
yeah.
as I can count, I
And
can
do the
create my
sequencing.
block. So then I put my blocks together. The software actually, if I've picked the size of my sashing or the size of my borders, goes ahead and tells me how much fabric I need to purchase, how wide they need to be, how big the
Really?
pieces need to be. So really, it makes it so much easier.
This is like called quilting for dummies. Is this what you're saying?
Well, quilting's, you know what, or it takes all the math work out
Yeah,
of quilting, which
yeah,
can be really
yeah.
important.
Yeah, yeah. But this is fascinating. This is absolutely fascinating. I shouldn't say for dummies because, of course, all of us like to use scraps that we've got, and this always doesn't work. But if somebody does actually start from scratch, I mean, I would hope that there's people out there that say, hey, I want to do this. How do I begin? It tells you exactly where to go, how much
Yeah.
fabric to buy. I mean,
And that's exactly it. So as another
This
example.
is so systematic. This is so mathematical. I love it.
Well, the math, and you know what? Computers are very good at doing math. So
Yes.
why don't we let them do what they're very good at?
Yeah, and then
let
we
us
do-
be creative by what we add,
Uh-huh.
and let them do the math work for us.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think this is so. I think this could get everybody involved in another aspect. You did say that there are quilting police, and I thought this was an interesting thing because we often joke and say, "Hey, the quilting police will get you,"
Yeah.
but there are actually quilting police.
Yes,
and
there is a huge issue with copyright in the industry
Yeah,
where
yeah.
people are sharing patterns where they shouldn't be, and actually infringing on copyrights.
Yeah, yeah, and that's in the whole sewing industry, really.
Yes.
And we've got to be aware of that there are people that make patterns, and we shouldn't be photocopying them and doing all those things
No.
because they deserve the recognition of you buying it and
And if you're photocopying it, they're not making any income.
Yeah,
So how
yeah.
are they going to go ahead and
make
produce more
Yeah,
creative
yeah,
patterns
yeah,
for
yeah.
you?
Okay, thank you so much, Cathy. This has been
You're
great.
welcome.
I hope you're excited because next we've got some beadwork coming up, and it is fantastic. So don't go away. I'm pleased to have my good friend Margaret Cardinal with me today because beading has just been so fascinating to me. So welcome to the show, Margaret.
Hi.
I should say Tansy, shouldn't I?
Yeah, we're not though.
I did take Cree lessons way back when, but it's been a long time, so I can't really remember. But I know that you teach all this kind of thing. What do you teach?
I actually teach in a program called Aboriginal Arts and Design in Northern Lakes College
Mm-hmm.
in Northern Alberta.
So you teach beadwork and tufting
Many
and-
forms of beadwork, many decorative arts like quill work, moose hair tufting, caribou hair tufting and sculpturing,
Wow.
to horsehair
Yeah,
wrapping.
and you have all kinds of people taking your classes, I know.
across Canada here.
Yeah, isn't that neat?
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember you said that before you came here, you were going to have a teepee project. You're going to be making 50 teepees or something. I thought,
Actually, I've
wow.
already finished that. I've got another one going.
Okay, so you are a busy lady.
Busy.
Okay, so if I want to know about beadwork, are there many different kinds of beadwork? How many kinds of beadwork do you get involved with?
Well, in my program, we actually have 52 different stitches you learn, but basically there's only 6 types.
Okay, that sounds better than 52.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the 6 type we use are the applique stitch, which I've done here.
This would perhaps be the most common. Just let me not get tangled
This
up
is
in
the
my
most
thread.
common stitch
You're going to applique beads to a surface.
to a surface.
Yes.
And let's just talk about this
Sure.
wall pocket.
Okay.
This wall pocket has applique beadwork right there.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to get my glasses on for sure.
This has loom beadwork here.
All right. Yeah. So that's separate.
That's
Yeah.
right. This is lazy stitch beadwork.
So that's hooked right to the base.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
And then this one here is peyote beadwork.
Which makes it all round.
This part
this not
here is
different?
actually cording.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then the decorative edge stitching that we incorporate in the wall pocket.
Okay.
But you know, when we're making native outfits for our people, when we actually use the applique a lot more because it's a lot sturdier.
Right. Right.
And there's different ways of doing applique.
Okay, but tell me, are there different beads? I'm sure.
Yes, there are. There's a gazillion different kinds. There's any different types, whether they're cut bead, and they're cut bead or a regular Czechoslovakian bead.
And I suppose they're different sizes. Is
That's
that what
right.
you're going to tell me?
The smallest bead I worked with is a size 22, and the bigger beads, well, they can go up to size 10 or 8 or 6.
Okay, when we look at these beads, we sort of think they're all the same, but they're not necessarily all the
No,
same.
they're not. The ones we commonly work with are a size 10.
Okay.
And the
okay.
size 10 can come either as a cut bead, or they can come as a glass bead, or an opaque kind of a sand type of bead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the thread and the needles.
And the needles, yeah, of course, the needles will have to fit your beads because
Okay.
they're different size.
So there are beading needles that are very, very skinny
very
and
tiny, yeah.
tough
very
to
tiny.
thread. I know that. And of course, you want a thread that would fit in the needle.
That's right.
eye.
Right now we use nylon thread because it's the toughest thread that we could use, especially since when we make our outfits, it's a lot of movement
Yes,
happening when they're
and
dancing.
I mean,
you want
beadwork lasts forever. I mean, you
That's
said
right.
that you've got some of this. You've got beadwork from your grandfather.
That's
and
right.
from,
I have some beadwork here that belonged to my grandfather's coat pocket.
Yes.
And a vamp that my other grandfather had that I keep as a souvenir.
So it is going to last
Yeah.
forever.
And yeah, the beadwork that I've learned is basically through my mother.
Let's show me then. First of all, you've got to decide your design, and
That's right.
that is something you can do anything, I guess. There are traditions, I suppose, in what design you want to do, or
That's right. This one here I'm working on is going to be a vamp, and a vamp is part of a moccasin.
so this will be like the tongue of that moccasin.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
And what we've done here is we've drawn out a turtle, and on the turtle's back is actually the medicine wheel.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
What do you mark with? I see that looks like pen. Are you supposed to do that, or is that
No, this is a no-no.
Oh, I see. No, that's what I thought. Because that doesn't come out very well, does it? You have to make sure you're really good to cover that.
You've got to be really good to cover that.
So what would you normally mark with?
Well, it's actually, what I use is white chalk mark.
Yeah.
And then I work to cover it, because here we definitely do a lot of heavy beadwork just to cover the design.
Yeah. I would suppose, too, we've got to be sure of what you're going to bead on. Like, this is great if it's fabric. This is your smoked
This is
tand.
actually my smoked tand, and I'm here.
And that's very soft.
Yeah, my mother makes a smoked tand.
Okay, let's quickly get going on this. You're going to, let me see, what have you got here? You've got 2 needles?
That's right. I have a needle that actually, a thin, smaller needle that will pick up my beads.
Yeah, and you've put
and
those.
I've strung those.
So they're on there.
They're on there. And then I have another needle that I actually stitch up and down.
Which would be
now,
sort of more of a regular
needle.
needle.
This is just a regular needle, and I'm only using a single strand.
Okay.
And applique beadwork is actually stitching. The stitching needle comes up, and if you're very traditional, you do every bead. But
Ooh, that sounds like
I tend to skip every other bead. So what I'm doing with this one is basically stitching up and catching 2 beads, and then I stitch down.
Yeah. And you're going to use the same thread in this one as you go over, so nothing will break.
That's right.
That would be important.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so all this one's doing is holding the beads up.
I see you've also got some paper. Does that?
Yeah, that keeps it really stiff and straight. We take it out later on, and then we line it with a lining.
Okay, something.
Whether it's
so that's
cloth.
just to sort of hold it.
Just to hold it in place.
If I was doing a design like this, do I start in the middle? Do I start on the outside? What do you do?
Well, depending on the design, this one here, we actually did the cross first, and then we did the circle. Now, when you're looking at, can I just take this one?
Sure.
I started from the center here, because you can see this little baby turtle on top, this turtle bag.
Yeah.
I started from the center, and I worked my way out. And then I started building in the legs and the head.
Okay.
Okay.
Different people might do different. For instance, on this one, where would you start?
This one here, my mother started, and this is her trademark. Everybody has trademarks in their beadwork.
Yeah.
Her trademark is the little reds, and this rose for one, and the yellow center.
Okay.
I have a cousin who does the center, and then she pokes her beads out, and all her beadwork is that way.
I think no matter what you say, it's going to take some practice.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. I think we better wrap this up, because we've got some models coming up. Like, your mother is here.
Oh, my mother's
and we're going
here,
to have her model some of the things.
Yeah.
So fascinating. Thank you so much, Margaret.
Thank you.
Don't go away. I'm back with my friend Margaret Cardinal, and the beadwork is fascinating. And Margaret's brought your mother, Angelique, which is just wonderful. But you said beads originally were things like bones and shells
and wood.
Things that you could find in nature that would be decorative, and I think that's rather...
As long as you had the patience to take out what was in the center, whether it be marrow or cleaning the bones and shaping them, whether they're buffalo bones or like these beads here are bone, and we carved in the designs and you put them in.
So really very intricate.
That's right.
The necklace that you just put on me is a good example of the kind of thing. You said this is also belonged to your grandfather?
This is my late grandfather, and he danced in the 30s, and this is his. So you can tell, he probably got these by trading. These are Tintalian shells.
Oh, wow.
And he actually gave them to my mother, and my mother has given them to me.
The tradition, I think, is wonderful, and that's what I want to talk about, because your mother is just, that is just... words cannot describe.
Traditional outfit.
So this is a very traditional outfit. It's something you would wear to your ceremonies. You could be married in this. You could.
Yeah, and go to different events where you have to wear your outfit, whether it's a function, and any function. As long
This
as,
is solid. Excuse me while I just have a... This is solid beads.
That's right. It's all... You can see that this is her trademark, and these roses are all done in applique, and the filling is all done in lazy stitch.
Okay, that means it's not really solid. It's sort of
free-flowing and easy to move.
Yeah.
While we're here, I can just show you the design that she has here is actually all her grandchildren.
Like these little red
sides.
buds
That's
are
right.
grandchildren? That's
Our
how many
grandchildren.
grandchildren? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And then this ceremonial, this is some kind of a...
This is a breastplate that was done with crow beads and real bones, because you can tell the real bones are a little yellow, because if they weren't real bone, they'd be white, like that.
Okay.
Now, if we go a little bit down here, in our breastplate, we also incorporate old hawk bells and dew claws from deer. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just to make the sounds effect, because when my mother dances, she still dances.
And you dance in this outfit. Oh, I think that'd be wonderful. And the shoes, I'm a woman after shoes. Those were wonderful, those shoes.
Those are hard sole moccasins.
Yeah.
And then with the wraparound on top.
Yeah.
Actually, what are they called again?
We should
high tops.
Turn around and see the back of this, because this, again, is just a beauty. So, and you said this weighs about 60 pounds.
This weighs about 60
what
pounds.
she weighs herself. So this is heavy. Yeah.
Again, here you can see the buds are a little bit, they have a different color. Those are great-grandchildren.
Oh, okay. And
we've made this 3-4 years ago. She only had a few great-grandchildren, but now we have to add 3 or 4 more.
Okay, and even the hairpiece to match. I mean, this is a woman after my own heart.
And this is her trademark, because all beadwork, like I say...
You can tell who's done the beadwork.
And
it's got a special significance.
Now, in the program that I teach called Native Clothing Design Program, we incorporate doing research and doing actually the whole outfit, and whether it be traditional or modern, and they have to have some symbolism in it.
Okay. Speaking of modern, you just had this shawl that she was holding, and I mean, this you said is 30 years old.
That's right. That was given to my mother from my cousin, and she made this. And it's been, again,
but
everything we have is usually passed
very
on.
modern and very with it right now with many things. So that's fascinating. But let's talk about this one.
This one, if you can believe it, is actually my wedding dress.
Oh, wow.
We've kept it in the family for quite a while. In there are my mother's roses, and this is horsehair wraparound.
Okay.
It's horsehair wrapping, actually, sorry.
Wonderful.
And edge beadwork.
Your mother was involved in this.
That's right.
You said she tanned the hide and everything.
On my wedding, my mom did all the hides. My sisters did all the beadwork. And friends who did the horsehair wrapping. And on the other side, if you can take a look, we had some porcupine quill work.
Oh, right.
A lot of my accessories were with either porcupine quill work, horsehair wraparound, or beadwork. And most of the beadwork, I can say, is done by my sister Pauline.
Oh, nice. So you actually wore that over top of sort of traditional kind of a jumper.
That's right. Yeah, a dress, jumper, a crease strap dress.
Yeah.
Because we're woodland.
I hate to stop. We're out of time and we have to stop. But thank you so much for coming, both of you. This is fascinating, and it's just been great. So,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wasn't that fun? I've known Margaret for a lot of years, and she does some incredible work and teaches her whole native art program to so many people. That's great. Speaking of, we've just not much time left, but this is our first show in the first season, so I want to talk about the Good Work Award, because we're going to recognize people that do this kind of thing. There's lots of you out there that are quilting and giving away to charity, all this kind of stuff. We want to hear from you. We want to, so you nominate us. Contact me at linda@MacPheeWorkshop.com. I'm out of time. Gotta go. Bye.
To receive the companion book for this series, send $19.98 to the address on your screen or call 1-888-MacPhee.